ladies and gentlemen. Here we go with video number 5. I think I'll get straight into the travel stories today because my friend Khan sent me a message in the early hours of yesterday morning, maybe even mid last night, saying that my sound quality is shit, and I could probably agree. I'm using it with a cheap Chinese phone. Not much I can do about it at the moment. Just make and do. Anyway, straight into the travel stories. 2015, I was working on Curtis Island, APLNG gas plant. Similar sort of job to what I'm building now, only on the other side of the continent, and we were earning the same money back then as we are now, if you disregard 10 years of inflation, so your money went a lot further. I decided I would go to Serbia, and Serbia will come up in a lot of my stories later on. So what happened was I hired a Mercedes-Benz. It's one of those Mercedes-Benz that had, expired on the Enviro-Nazi, what do you call it? Paperwork nonsense that Germany inflicts on its citizenry. And so it had been sold to a man in Serbia who, rented it out. Nice car, only a few years older. Beautiful, well kept. And we'd been travelling all around Serbia, Bosnia, mostly Serbia. But we took that thing camping. Anyway, I'll get to the early part of the trip in another video. I feel like we should talk about Gary. That's his real name. I won't give his last name, but he was a Singaporean German. So he was. If you looked at him, he looked Singaporean, Asian features, but with a German accent. Anyway, what happened was my friend Nicola had a hostel. Well, his cousins had a hostel. He was working there, and a girl checked in from Sydney. She'd been travelling all around Europe. She was doing a Euro trip in 2015, and we got talking with her and we got along quite well, and she said, oh, there's this guy that's been following me. She, 3 stops with 3 different countries, 3 different cities. Wherever she went, this guy would just randomly turn up. Lo and behold, wouldn't have been more than a couple of hours later, here comes Gary. He's turned up, and she goes, that's him. That's the guy we're talking about. Anyway, I saw what she means. He wasn't creepy, but it was, maybe, if you're a woman, he might have been a little bit creepy. I'm sure if a random guy, randomly turns up in 3 different cities, you're probably going to be a bit creeped out. But he just lacked self-awareness. It seems so, anyway. And anyway, Nessie that I called her, she was flying out of Budapest in a few days' time. So was a girl that I called Dutchie. I cannot recall her name, but she was obviously from the Netherlands because she was Dutch, hence the name Dutchie. Now, they were going to catch a train together, and I said, I've got a Mercedes-Benz, These girls were quite cute, and I thought maybe I could impress them with my Mercedes-Benz. Anyway, So they had like 2 nights in Serbia or something, and I set the date and I said I would take them in my Mercedes-Benz to Budapest. And they both agreed. They thought it was a fine idea. And anyway, in the meantime, these 2 nights, Gary, we just spent all our time laughing at Gary, all the while doing the best we could to give him no information that we would be going to Budapest. And at one point in time, this Gary, he's gone outside. We were out having, drinking beers, smoking cigarettes out in the courtyard, watching the girls walk past as they do in that area close to the Belgrade University, and he walks straight past us. I mean, he might have gave us a g'day, or just a bit of acknowledgement, but then he sort of went around the corner. He sort of came back a little bit sheepishly, and we don't know where he went, but Nicola's cousin, Georgie, comes out. Was it Georgie or the other one? There's one of his cousins came out. Who's out here? What? We go, what's the matter? What's happened? Someone was just pissing through the window. It turns out they had a basement room with a window around street level, and Gary's gone and taken a piss against the fucking window, and it's leaked all the way down, come through the window, and got these guys while they were watching soccer. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't funny, a few of the pissy, but it was a funny story on recollection. Anyway, that was not where the story was going. We didn't tell Gary that we were going to Budapest, but you can guess where the story's going. We loaded up the car on this whatever day it was. Must have been about Friday, because the weekend was coming up, and we were going to spend 2 nights. Like Nicola and I were going to spend 2 nights in Budapest, and we get to the hostel. Me and Nicola go for a few beers. Nessie said she's going to go and sort out flights or whatever she had to do. And we come back and we catch up with Ness. And then what happens? We're out in the courtyard. We're, drinking some hostel beers like you do. Hey guys! Fucking Gary. He's turned up. We gave him no information, there was no way he knew we were going to Budapest, but he turns up at the very fucking hostel that we checked into, and he turned out, yeah. Anyway, that was sort of the end of the story with Gary. He pissed on Nicola's cousin, and then just rocked up randomly in the very same hostel we were staying at. But anyway, that night, the first night in Budapest. That's right, we had a boat cruise. So there's a few bridges in Budapest if you've ever been there. When you go in a boat and you cross under the bridge, it's supposedly considered good luck to kiss someone as you're passing under the bridge. And I don't know how many bridges there are. I can remember, I reckon there was 2. There's probably more, but I remember getting 4 kisses off 4 different women, and by the 3rd or the 4th, they were sort of getting onto it that I was just being a cad. I was a rascal, a love rat, and I'd stolen kisses from these girls. And anyway, that was, as you can imagine, sort of ruined all my chances of finding some love that night. And then, anyway, we saw some guy was sort of passing off with Nessie, and Nicola knew that I sort of had a bit of a crush on Nessie, and he had a strong dislike for this guy that was stealing the girl of my dreams. And so this is what a good mate, Nicola is. He has like been like a bull that's seen red. I need to find my knife. I need to find my knife. And he's like just going off like a fucking lunatic. And this is like, I don't know, I went from having the greatest time to trying to calm down this fucking lunatic Serb while he's, bouncing from one servo to the next, trying to find someone that'll sell him a knife so he can go and stab this girl stab this guy that's trying to get it on with this friend of ours, Anyway, so that was pretty much it for the first night of the Budapest trip. Anyway, the second night, I've gone through the park and found some, you're not supposed to call them that, but they were gypsies, and they sold me some drugs. I shouldn't say that either, that'll probably get me banned from YouTube, but anyway, we had some party supplies, and we're at a bar, and I received, oh that's right, I stopped to check the Wi-Fi, and I received a message from my mother. Are you in Australia yet? Well, I said, no, I don't get home till whatever day it was. I thought I had like 4 or 5 days. And she goes, no, go by your itinerary, you're supposed to be back in Australia today. And I took a word for it. I said, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. We're going to have to organise another flight. So not only was did I miss my flight, I was in the wrong country even to be flying, because I was flying out of Serbia. Anyway, it ended up costing me, I forget, like 1,800 Australian dollars to find a last minute flight from Belgrade, Serbia to Australia. So it's like a 3-leg trip. Anyway, we continued that night. We got drunk. I found more party supplies. I picked up a lady of the night. She was trying to get me to go to the park and do it out in the park. I thought, this is no place for romance. And I thought, I'm going to get robbed here for sure. So I took her to a motel, and I fell asleep before there was any sort of coital action, shall we say, underway. Anyway, so I thought, fuck, I've been robbed. This is when I woke up. I thought, I've been robbed. Obviously, like she wouldn't have left no. All she did, she took my party supplies, and then she had to go. And then I realised they made her show her ID before she came in. So obviously, they probably would have made her show her ID on the way out. And that was pretty much it. We went back, and then I went back to the hostel, and I must have got about, I don't think I would have got 3 hours sleep, probably more like an hour and a half. And then Nessie's like, oh, I gotta get the train, I've got to go, yeah, it was a train. She was getting a train to somewhere else. And so after like an hour and a half sleep, I was like, gotta go, Nessie's needs to catch a train. So we've like zooting all around Budapest. I was absolutely in no shape to be driving. But we got her there. We got her there in time, and she was thankful. She gave us both a peck on the cheek and said we were lovely fucking gentlemen, and you know, I'll take the compliments when they come. And then I cruised back to Serbia, which is Belgrade's probably 5 hours by road, and it was, you know, no overstatement at all, but it was probably the toughest 5 hour drive I've ever taken, and made it back. By that time, I'd got my second wind. Nicola said, we're doing nothing. But there actually happened to be, one guy was a Kiwi, and there was a pair of Australian blokes there, and then I went out that night, knowing full well that I had to fly out the next day. And so I only went out till midnight. That was, you know, I wouldn't call that a party and a half, but that's right. And then I ended up with just this terrible head cold, you know, just my immune system must have been non-existent by that point. So this whole flight, where was it? I can't remember if it was the flight from Belgrade to Abu Dhabi or Abu Dhabi back to Brisbane. I think it was back to Brisbane. So that's a long flight. That's, I don't know, 14 hours or something. And I just had my nose running like a tap the whole time, sneezing. This poor girl next to me, I thought she was beautiful, and I wanted to get to know her and talk to her, and I was like, and yeah, nothing came of that, obviously. So that's the first of, I wouldn't say many travel stories, but it's the first of a good handful. So if you enjoyed those, please drop a like and a comment, and maybe I'll reach back into the bank and find some more. Today's a beautiful day to be alive. It is the 5th of September 2025.